I'd like to call this meeting to order of the City of Laredo Fine Arts and Culture Commission. Our first order of business is the Pledge of Allegiance, and our flags are right behind us. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Angie, can you give us roll call, please?
Yes, Dr. Marco Villarreal, absent. Dr. Colin Campbell,
Here, present.
Julio Mendez,
Here.
Carlos Abraham Flores, absent. Armando Lopez,
Present.
Gail Aco Rodriguez, absent. Robert Lopez,
Here.
Rosie Santos.
Here.
We have a quorum.
Thank you. Section 4 of our meeting agenda calls for citizens' comments. Did we have anybody sign up for that?
No.
We'll go next. Before you, you have the minutes from the last meeting of May 20th, 2021. If everybody has read, does anybody have any amendments or changes to the minutes? Do I hear a motion to approve the minutes of May 20th?
I make a motion that we approve the minutes for, as they are.
Second. Motion by Julio, second by Mr. Lopez. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Minutes stand as read. Okay. Communications and announcements. Do we have any?
Yeah, just a few. Just to let you know that we did have the ribbon cutting for the Pancho Farias mural. Mr. Mendez and I think
Gail.
Gail was there. I'll pass it around so you can see the renderings. Second announcement, I'm gonna have Mr. Mendez do it. It's regarding the Make Music Day.
Make Music Day. We discovered not too long ago that there was this type of organization that was a worldwide community in which the 21st of June, people everywhere in the cities that participate play music anywhere they want. They can play in front of their house, they can play on the street, they can play on top of the roof, wherever it is that they want. And I don't know how many of you were able, I know that I sent the, what is it,
The website?
the website, there we go, the website, and it explains how is it they work. So in the cultural district, we decided that this will be a great opportunity to be able to begin something happening in Laredo as far as culture is concerned, being the fact that sometimes we don't pay very close attention to music, but it is an important aspect of our city. So we started working in a flash, and we are going to have this coming Monday, June the 21st at 9 o'clock in the morning, the kickoff of this thing. And we're going to have Mayor read the what?
Proclamation.
The proclamation. There we go. I run out of words sometimes. I think that as many gray hairs as I have, they influence in my brain and they do something with it. So it's going to be at the Laredo Center for the Arts. We will have a small presentation with national anthem and also 2 or 3 groups that are going to be playing. There will be at Fronteras at night. There will be also, I think if I don't remember badly, I think it's probably 5 or 6 groups that are going to be playing. Gallery 201 also mentioned that they would have opened their doors and they will have musicians play. So, and this year is going to be rather flimsy, but we want to organize, and we have sent notices to the different fine arts directors at both school districts. I would like to later on, when we start the year of the school in August, to talk to Mr. Moyer, Dr. Moyer, and so that we can actually begin to group with LC and all the different groups that are here in Laredo, so that the next June 21st, we can really have a rally.
Big splash.
And as to where we can have music going on all day, even if it is out in the streets or if it is inside areas like it's going to be orchestra playing and stuff like that we want to do indoors, that would be fine, but there would be access to the public for free. That's one of the things, it's got to be for free. Since we became part of the organization, now we figure within their website, and it will give us a chance to be able to open up the doors to anywhere in the world, saying that Laredo is a part of this organization and that we actually observe this. We discovered today that they also have the same thing happening in certain cities. In December 21st, if I'm not mistaken, is what is it? This when the sun comes out.
Oh, the equinox?
Oh, yeah.
But one of those. So we were thinking, I don't know if it's gonna be too early or not, but I think it will be, if we can do it, I think it will be a great thing for us to do it. The city has been gracious enough to help us to get these groups together. That's the reason why I figured it in there. We have also contributing quite a bit to us, the Webb County, and I don't know, I hope that I'm not saying the wrong thing here. But we have already, Laredo Cultural District already took possession of the Casa Ortiz, which is, I don't know if you know where it is.
Yes, yes.
And we have a lot of work to do in there, as far as trying to bring it back. But we're very optimistic that it will happen. So that's basically what we have. Both the Laredo Center for the Arts as well as the Cultural District are going to be very important in working in unison as well as we in order to be able to make all these things happen. So I think that we need to become very active in all of these things.
Good job.
Good. Yeah, especially maybe with the, in the light of December 21st, because the cathedral has just been renovated and rededicated. We've got a new organ in there. So I think that would also be like a good place because it's downtown, it's in close proximity to the historical district, to include something in there that we've got music going
Sure.
there also.
Yeah, if anything, we could do it right there on the plaza.
Yeah.
And be able to utilize the space in the park and everything else. I've been thinking, I haven't mentioned it to anybody yet, but I think I'll mention it now. There is a gazebo in the center of the plaza. And when I was young, in my hometown, in Havana, Cuba, every Sunday, the Marina band, or the Marineros, they had a band. Every Sunday they would come and they would sit on top of the gazebo and they would play danzones. And everybody would be there and people would be dancing. And it would be a great, get together of people and stuff like that. And I think that maybe not soon enough, but in the future, this is something that could be contemplated. This is part of the arts and cultures that we need to revive in Laredo. Everybody says there's nothing to do in Laredo. But I think that if we create areas that are going to be of interest and relaxation to the people, I think that people will come. So it's some of the things that we can look for as a committee in cahoots with the Laredo Center for the Arts, with the Cultural District, with the Cultivarte, with the music, Laredo music scene. All these things are possible. But working together as a unit, even though we are independent, as a unit.
My thought on this is that for December, you would have the time to plan it. It would be wonderful to commission Mark, who did this last video, the culture did, or somebody, to be able to travel the whole city that day and have people playing at different places, in the barrio, in a hall, at a church, or so forth. And for him just to go film a little snippet of all of that stuff and then put together something like he just did for the cultural district, and then put that on there for people to get a taste of the diversity in music down here. And with the fact that we have these months coming up, I think it would be able to do that. I would love to hear that new organ.
I think, because I'm just sort of thinking with a close proximity towards Christmas, it would be, even to maybe get a community choir going, maybe do a Messiah.
Sure. And my dream when Yo-Yo Ma came, and we tried to pull it off, was there's a song, mariachi song called El Niño Perdido, where two trumpet players are on the opposite sides of the hall. It would be nice to have somebody playing for the Mexican side and somebody playing for the American side, and do something like that, and include them in this
They
celebration.
can be mic'd, and,
Yeah.
and it will work real well if they have a speaker from this side or this
You
side.
just get a little drone to be able to film both of them playing at the same time would be excellent. So,
Yeah,
but you have us already, so
Yeah.
just tell us what you need for us to
For
do.
Monday, we're trying to get the film group for Laredo.
Oh, the Real Film Society.
To actually see if they can film. Because I think that would be something that we can include into this new organization as
Right.
part of Laredo.
Right.
I think most definitely, this is probably, like you say, our yo-yo ma opportunity to try to bring something like this back into the city and have the community be involved in it. Although Yo-Yo Ma Day of Action was pretty much all fine arts, music, dance, so on and so forth. This is more geared towards music, but I think this could be maybe a component of other events that don't necessarily have to happen on that certain day,
Yeah.
but under a theme or
And
something.
if you do it correctly, I mean, with some planning, you can have people set up to play in front of all of our murals. And so you're getting a shot of the mural as well as the groups playing. And of course, to not discriminate, there's so much music in the city
Yeah.
that we need to make sure that we
Yeah,
include
we-
all the genres that are out there.
Yeah.
I've heard that the food trucks in South Laredo, they have a lot of people that come in to play music, most regional music and, and interesting music that perhaps not too many people outside of Laredo have heard. So I think it is good to be able to do that. So, yeah, that's the whole idea, so.
All right, and then that's gonna segue pretty nicely into the presentation here. Okay, any other announcements?
No.
Nope, okay. I think Laredo Border Slam is having their first event, public event coming towards the end of June the 26th. I think it's part of the Pride Association. They're having a slam that's being hosted by Chibi Orduña, who was the voice of that video, so I will let everybody know. All right, moving on to staff reports. We have on Roman numeral 7, update in public arts master plan by Up Arts Studio LLC.
And we have Elia with us, joining us. And,
Hello.
and you do have in your packet a couple of documents. And this is just a presentation letting you go ahead and take a look at them. I'll go briefly over what they are. The first one is an annual report for 2020. And what we have there is just a summary of the key activities from 2020 and activities up to now, mid-year 2021. In there is also the accounting of the expenditures of what has been spent already from the 2019 certificates of obligation. And this was for last year, and you can see what each of the council members has been spending their art fund on. So, most of them are murals. And there's still a balance. Some of them still have a balance, still have money for more art projects. Also in there is an inventory that we're trying to do. We're still working on it, along with the Convention and Visitors Bureau, of all the murals, all the public art that is out there. And sorry, I haven't introduced Selena Villarreal, who's here on behalf of Eileen.
Meeting everybody.
So that is, these are being presented to you so that you can recommend the advancement onto City Hall, and that will be done, we'll vote on that in July. But we will send these out electronically, because I know some of the members are not here. But that's one of the documents, one of the reports that needs to be done as per the ordinance. the second document, did you have a question?
No, it's that, and so District 7 Public Arts, they have not used the funds. They got 30,000 still.
That was District 8, no?
And then District 8 has 40,000.
That was the amount that each of the council members got.
Received, yeah.
So District 7, that was at the time was, they contributed to pay for the public art master plan.
Right, okay.
And that was Councilman Alka. There's something in the chat, Angie?
Oh, I think that was from the beginning.
So anything that they have in their balance will be used up until December, or
I think it rolls over, I don't think they lose it.
it rolls
They're
over?
not gonna lose it, so they each have, and it's again for public art.
But right now, since every council person has their own designated balance, it's for them to go ahead and
In their
allocate
district.
at their discretion. Okay.
And I think the person who presented last time when we were here indicated that there might be a problem with that because the ordinance said that it was supposed to be affiliated, that the money was supposed to be used on the projects that the bonds were being taken from. So
But
I think she was gonna
we-
try to clear that up.
Yes, we've delved into the ordinance a little bit more, and there is if it's not feasible, let's say the money is for street paving or sidewalk, and it's not feasible to put it in put something near there. There's the option of either putting it in a big pile for the whole city, but the annual public art plan that's in there, the consultant does suggest a way to, for each council member to have their own fund, and then the rest of, another fund for
Yeah.
citywide.
I think that there needs to be a process where somebody besides the council person vets it.
And that is what, I don't know, Velia, that is what the annual public art plan is suggesting.
Okay.
There's several things that they are suggesting for them to get for each council member to have their own funds for art projects in their district. And then another fund for citywide. Because each council member is getting money for their own CIPs in their district. So 2% of that amount, they're suggesting for them to have for themselves. I mean.
And that's because it aligns with the CIP allocation that each council member gets. So they're each gonna get $1 million of CIP funds or, projects. And so of that, then they would get the 2% of that. And then the way that $300,000 fee was calculated for fiscal year 2020 was they took the 1 million for each council district, and then the remaining is for citywide projects. And so we just followed the public art 2% along those same lines where, 2% of the 1 million that each council member gets, and then 2% of the remaining citywide. And then from that citywide fund, 15% of it would go to program administration. So that's for someone, for a staff to be hired to help administer the program. And then 5% would be put into a conservation fund so that, if there's any murals that are, or other artwork that's currently painted or not painted, but, maybe it's a statue or something. But if it needs conservation and repair, that can be done with those funds. And then the remaining 80% is for citywide public art projects that would focus on, downtown, tourism, and other areas that are maybe not addressed with council member funds.
And there is a recommended budget for the annual plan that the consultants are. Page 3.
I haven't read it yet, but may I ask you, is there any consideration for performance art? Like we were talking about musicians and different other
No, because this is only for public art.
Okay,
It's specifically, so I think that that would be from a different funding source.
That could be from the hot funds.
Yeah.
Because that's for art.
There's still a
yeah,
possibility.
because to me, that would seem like that's where a good use of hotel, motel funds, because music is where it gets people to come down and heads in beds and stuff like
Yeah.
that.
Yeah. And the 300 is just from the CIP funds. The hot funds is a completely different, funding source.
Right.
And we haven't gotten as deep into that, yet to know how much they could allocate to the arts yet. But right now, we're just focused on the CIP and trying to get that part figured out, since that's what's closely tied to the ordinance.
So that
Okay.
budget breakdown that you just gave us, the 15%, the 5 and the 80 is all from 300,000.
From this,
Yes.
this coming year.
Okay.
And it's in the public art plan that I think Maria has printed for you all.
Yes.
Okay.
On
That's
page
the-
3.
That's the other document I gave you. The first page is basically just the timeline of how we need to advance this plan, when it's coming to the commission and when it's going to city council.
So at council last time around, I know it was tabled.
Yes,
Has anything come of that, or?
it has not been brought up again, it has not been put on the agenda yet. So this is our chance to try to give them a recommendation where they still get some funds for their particular district, but there's still money for citywide projects.
Because from what I've read for other cities, it doesn't get designated to
No,
it should always be an open, and it should always be an open call for the entire, citywide projects.
And that's what, that still is being called for here, that it be a citywide, when, there's suggestions for how to do a call for artists and how, and who's gonna serve on the selection committee. So that's what we're hoping.
Yeah, there would still be a process, it's just the reason that and I don't wanna say that it's 20,000 per district, not necessarily that each council member has the ultimate say on what's happening. There's a process that, it's gonna be followed where it's the open call, the commission has a role where you guys are reviewing the proposals. I think the commission role is also outlined on page number 5 of that same report, where you would all review and comment on each of the projects. The artists, there'd be an artist selection committee. It would include one of the commissioners, and ideally it'd be the commissioner who represents that district. And then there would also be, the commissioners would also be responsible for keeping the council members just updated on the progress of the public art program and, and the projects that are going on. And then in theory, really it would only need all council approval if it was a project that's over $50,000, but under $50,000, then it really shouldn't require city council approval.
I don't want to open a can of worms here,
Go ahead.
but public art also incorporates music.
I'll let the expert.
So shouldn't we then get a recommendation that they're actually referring to visual art,
Yes,
visual public art?
visual
Because
public art.
if
I
I
think
go out and go play something, instrument and sing in public, that's also considered as public art.
Yes, well, there's also a distinction with the CIP dollars in that CIP dollars need to be spent on projects that are permanent. And so with music, if it's, happening then in the moment, then yes, it's a public art and it's a public display, but in terms of using CIP funding for that, it's not allowable under the ordinance because there's not permanent there at that
But it
location.
could be permanent if it's recorded.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna bring up, something like Luminaria in San Antonio, where they combine both performance art, which performative, they combine the music with public art, where it's an installation or a light installation. Wouldn't that also?
Wouldn't that constitute then, I mean, it's like a more inclusive multimedia?
Installations are visual components of the arts, and many times they include music.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
why, because a lot of
So-
these,
Consequently, that should be taken into consideration, I agree with that.
So isn't, yeah.
There are certain, through the ordinance, there's like certain allowable uses, for the fund. And so it doesn't, it doesn't call for that. But I do see what you're saying, and I'll do some more research on that
That'd be great.
to see about it being, how it's, how it could be allowed.
I'm thinking in terms of more collaborative work then, for
Mhm.
cross-media.
yeah, exactly.
Mm-hmm.
Yes,
Why
sir.
exclude the
There should
one
be
if
an
there
S.
could be actually,
And that's at the end of art.
yeah, arts, there we
Should
go.
be on front of the arts. One thing that I also wanted to mention, in the event that murals are created, shouldn't the council person that is going to have an art in his particular area, shouldn't they consult with this council in order to be able to find out if it is agreeable, at least to give us information on what is going to happen, because there's been several times in which the council or the councilor or the city councilor has actually made the connections with the artist. They have created the mural, and they have not actually given any information to us
Yeah.
until it's actually performed.
And
I'm
that is
not-
what this is trying to remedy.
Okay.
So this will be the process.
Yeah, I haven't read the whole thing,
Oh,
so.
no, I didn't
Please.
expect you to. But, go ahead and
Yeah.
take a look at it, and hopefully we'll be able to vote on it in July, so that we can go ahead and forward it to city council.
Very good, yeah.
Yeah, that's the idea, for you all to review these two documents that Maria gave you today. And then at the next meeting on the 15th, we can get your, approval or not approval to move forward with, with this set of points. It's really following what the ordinance says. The ordinance itself is really not bad. There could be maybe a couple of key things that might be tweaked, but it's a good process. It just needs to be followed.
Yeah, and my request is that we would get a email to you so that if we have, so we can circulate it to our constituents and then
Yes,
forward any questions prior to our meeting, that way we have that stuff answered before.
okay.
Okay.
Yes. We'll go ahead and send this to the commission and to the consultants.
Okay, and then it'll have the email there, so we can
Yes,
if we have
everything.
individual
The
questions.
lobby in there.
And also, I wanted to let you all know that we did visit Laredo. We just got back. Let's see, actually, we just got back on Tuesday night. We were there for 3 days, and we did, we explored the city. Just kind of oriented ourselves. Now that when you're talking about certain places, I know what you're talking about now. Have a better idea of it. We looked at sites that we'd identified through the Viva Laredo plan. We did a tour with Eileen and Maria and Cultivarte, and we did some engagement with Cultivarte as well. We explored some more, and then this past month, we also met with the city manager, just to kind of go through some of these documents, preliminary, information, and, he was very supportive of the process. And right now, what we're starting to kind of go into is more of the scope of the public art plan, where we're talking about the goals and mission and vision and, the policies. We've been focused a lot on, administration and figuring out the budgeting and how all of that works so that Laredo is prepared for fiscal year 22 and we don't lose that cycle of public art funding, because we didn't want, what happened last year to happen again. So I expect that in July or August, we'll go back to Laredo and we'll start doing more community engagement. So, we would, if whoever's in town, from the commission, we'd love to meet with you as well and, get more of your feedback. And we'll also be creating, around that time also an online survey that we can get out to a lot of, the arts stakeholders. We know that there's a lot based on that last city council meeting where the public art plan was discussed and all those comments were made. There's obviously, a lot of artists there that have an interest. And so we definitely want to hear from everybody as we, start to really shape the plan for the city of Idaho. So thank you.
Thank you.
Thank
Who
you.
were you able to visit with?
Hmm?
Or what sites were you on?
Oh, we drove all, I know they did some exploring on their own, and come Monday morning, we drove, I think, most of the districts.
Oh, okay.
We did get to show them some of the murals that are already up, Covita, some of the ones in inner city, downtown.
And we checked out like a lot of the key sites that were called out in the Viva Laredo plan, the plazas in downtown. We went to we went to some of the parks. We went to, we explored the Laredo Community College area as well, Tamayu, the airport. Just a lot of the big sites that are around there.
And maybe when you come down, we can organize a meeting to have those stakeholders present so that you can make contact with them, because I know there is a lot of people who have opinions that really matter that want to bring it to the table.
Absolutely, that's exactly what we're envisioning for our next visit, is to really start engaging with the community.
Okay.
All right. Anything else on that topic? Let's move on to number 8. Items for discussion and possible action. The first thing we have is section 8, presentation by Laredo Music Scene.
And I know we have Victoria Canales, but I don't have your partners.
Sergio Puente.
Sergio Prentes. And they're presenting regarding the Laredo music scene. Fuentes? Fuentes.
Puente.
Puente.
Puente, doing one.
One puente.
Yes,
One bridge.
I made a couple copies of our agenda. Unfortunately, I don't think there's enough for everyone, but we still have a presentation and everything, so I'll pass these out anyway, so you all can just kind of get an idea of the sort of.
Have more over there so they can share. Yes, Robert and I will look at this one.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Very well. I don't know what it is.
Oh, that's right. We'll, you can share.
You guys share, we'll share.
Yeah.
We'll share.
Leo, that's page 1.
Oh, we got it.
That's page, this is page 2.
I'll give this to you afterwards. Mr. Mendez, you're gonna have to move.
Oh, yeah. Both of us.
You got the presentation and you have.
Please not as
Giraffe.
And the
Will you be still joining us, Elia? Yes?
Yes, sorry.
No, I had to change the
Oh, it's okay.
camera for it, so, because I don't think that you can see it.
Yes, this one.
Oh, it's that one?
Yeah, so you're ready.
Is it
But he
feeding?
said that one's ready. It's not picking it up.
Do you need to turn?
How do you
send
switch
it?
it?
tell you.
You switch it?
Let me go ahead and switch it to that. Is that okay?
No. With this one, then we're gonna have to close the presentation.
Well, if you'd like, we have our own laptops. We could plug in the HDMI cables to our laptops. Would that work best?
Yeah.
All right. Let me go. Yeah, I got one. In the meantime, help yourself.
He said you got it.
Some water?
No. It's great. No, this is already.
Yeah. That's why I thought it was like, originally gonna be.
Was it some?
If it's difficult, don't worry about me.
No, it's fine. I think we'll be able to get it. Jody, do you have the HDMI cable that's running to there? Yeah, I think you're.
Which one is it? Well,
This one.
So,
Yeah, you can just unplug that. Oh.
oh yeah, well, she's over there.
She's over there now.
Okay.
Oh, but it's gonna disconnect.
It's probably gonna connect it to the TV then. My gosh, technology works great until it doesn't.
Then we call her.
If you don't have that.
Yeah, ready?
The 36.
It's fine, we can show it on the TV if that's okay with you. I don't know, there's been
I've seen this movie.
an update, I don't think we heard about the grant or the other statues.
I gotta see you.
It's dependent on the funding from the grant.
The other ones, but she got funding for one.
Oh, okay.
The lady of the lake,
Okay.
yes, she got
That's
funding.
my
I guess still waiting on her to
Excuse her.
finish it.
Oh.
But that one was funded along with
So you
the
can
one for
just put
Pancho
together all
Valdez
the-
and the other one.
I'm
from-
excited to see that.
And on both?
Yeah.
That would be nice.
Yeah.
But they applied for a grant.
I know,
A statue, a garden.
Yeah, no,
With different
I'm
statues.
excited about
But
that.
I
She
don't
went
know.
to Main Street and then.
Has she heard about that? No, we have details yet. Yes. Okay.
It'll take a while.
It does?
Yeah.
Well, it's a federal grant, so yeah.
Well, thank you all so much for allowing us to come and give a presentation. I hope you all can still see it from
Oh,
over
yeah.
here.
Well, I don't have this.
Alright, so just kind of wanted to introduce us. So I'm Victoria Canales. I'm the one who had gotten in contact with you all to have this presentation, and this is my teammate Sergio Puente. Over here, we talk about what the Laredo music scene is, right? So I'm not sure if they had informed you all, but we are a website / blog / directory / organization that's run by 3 volunteers, me, Sergio, and our other teammate Natalia, which we will introduce in a second. And we write about everything from local musicians and what they're up to opinion pieces on the city and the arts. And we also have a directory, like I mentioned, of venues, local artists, just so everything could be in one place. So people, if they would like to, they can have a list of the sort of artists and places where they can host events where they can be. And the past few weeks, we've actually gotten a huge spike in followers and stuff. We also have a popular social media on Instagram, and we just surpassed 1,000 followers. So that's really awesome. And it seems like, the community has really been engaging with our posts and sharing things and sharing the work that we've been doing. In case you may have heard of us, we're also working with Laredo Cultural District to help put together the event on the evening of Make Music Day on Monday at Frontera Beer Garden. So we've been the ones kind of like building the lineup, kind of coordinating. I don't think this is on the flyer, but we are also going to have some art galleries because Frontera has little rooms that can be used for that. So we actually reached out to Cultivarte, and they will hopefully be getting back in touch with me tonight to, coordinate which artists are going to be able to go to the gallery. We're going to have local vendors. We're going to have, we're going to have a bunch of stuff. Organizations tabling. So yeah, it's going to be just like a really great big community event. So here, we talk about our staff, right? Our volunteers. So I'll let Sergio introduce himself.
Yes, my name is Sergio Puente. I started this, what was supposed to be just a directory of, of who's out there playing music. And most of it is, it's popular music, not so much concert music or things like that. But we're, trying to include every genre of music that is, everybody that wants to put themselves out there for the public to hear. And it started off just as a directory, and it's slowly growing into. Our goal is to become a resource for musicians here in Laredo. We feel like music doesn't get a lot of attention in Laredo. Like, I don't know, somebody said that before. It's kind of so that's the goal to put it in the forefront and to show showcase our music to the public, and so that the public can then encourage our musicians to keep following their goals and hopefully make careers out of the thing that they love to do. So that was the goal of the site. And then I was approached by Natalia first. Natalia, she's not here right now. She's actually a senior in high school, and you know the purpose of this was for the younger generation, you know, so that the ones coming up, they have, you know, a support system for them, and so they know that, you know, that the city's behind them. And Victoria reached out also, you know, she saw what we were doing, and you know, I started this, but Natalia and Victoria, they grew this like to beyond what I thought, you know, it would become in like 2 months.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just, I started, but it's, you know, it's our organization. Go ahead.
So here we just kind of have a little mini list of the sort of things that we do. You know, Sergio here manages the website, edits our Artist of the Week videos, which we'll talk about later, handles logistics, helps with design, like graphic design and stuff. Natalia is the social media manager, so she's usually the one running the Instagram. She also coordinates the Artist of the Week video series. She creates our Spotify playlist, because we do have playlists on Spotify that feature local musicians, and we like to update those. And she assists with marketing. And then I'm the blog writer mostly, so I write articles. I interview artists for the articles that we write, and I help to book the shows. So our mission, like Sergio said, is to promote and, you know, advocate for local Laredo music. You know, that goes from musicians to venues to events to anything. You know, like we've mentioned a billion times already, we'll start to sound like a broken record. The, you know, music in Laredo needs a little bit more cultivation, right? So we wanted to come talk to you all today to sort of bring up the issues that we've noticed are happening, you know, around the city and in the local music scene. And I would think that some of our biggest issues are, for one, lack of financial support. So it's like a pretty big issue that musicians, you ask them if they're playing around town, 90% of the time if they're getting paid, and the answer is no. Or if they are getting paid, it's like $20 that they have to split with 4 people in the band, you know? Maybe that'll cover the Whataburger that they get afterward, but it will definitely not cover the equipment that they bought and are using for this, the transportation, gas money, the sort of, you know, equipment, both audio and visual, that goes into their performances, and the time, you know, time is being used to create and practice and book these shows, and they're not getting compensated for any of it. So, you know, that is a very big issue, and that kind of leads to most local musicians, which I think probably all of you and ourselves can attest to, we work, you know, to be able to support our passion projects. And so, I mean, for example, in Natalia's case, she's at work right now, so she wasn't able to come join us in this. And, you know, that's a pretty common theme with most musicians, artists. Obviously, I'm not saying, like, everybody should be able to do this for free. But, you know, I do believe people should be compensated for their time, equipment, transportation, things like that. Another big issue is lack of community engagement. So, you know, like someone had mentioned, people say, like, there's nothing to do in Laredo. There are things to do in Laredo. It's just people either don't know about it or don't really want to, you know, go take part in it. I'm really not exactly sure why, and I'm not going to pretend like I do know why. But, you know, Laredo Music Scene, actually, we published an article about this on Monday, kind of talking about how there are things to do in Laredo, and, you know, kind of asking for the community to say what sort of things they like to do around town, what sort of things they'd like to see around town. And while we got mostly positive responses, we still did get some negative Nancys who were saying, like, oh no, like, there's nothing fun going on, like, even the stuff you said isn't fun. And I'm like, come on. Like, yes, it is fun. You just need to go out there and, you know, support, right?
Yeah, and actually that video that just came up from Laredo Cultural District, I think there needs to be more pieces like that to show, you know, love for our city. I think there's a lot of self-hatred with the community. Maybe not with people in this room, but, you know, people just, they feel like they want to, you know, make it out of Laredo instead of make it in Laredo. You know, like, there's, so we want to change that by showing that there is talent in Laredo, that there's a lot of great talent, and and help them, get in front of people's eyes.
Yes, exactly. And then we also know that there is a lack of creative spaces. So while we do have venues, which we've talked about, a lot of these venues don't actually own any equipment. So that's kind of an issue also, because then either the musicians need to invest literally thousands of dollars in the equipment that they would then like haul around to shows and stuff, or they can't perform to the top of their ability, right? Like they just show up with an acoustic guitar and like no microphone, and obviously their heart and passion is going into it, but I know that we have talent that goes beyond that. And then this lack of creative space is actually, I think, sort of a bit of a waste of the space that we do have, because as you all had kind of mentioned earlier, we have amazing places like downtown and stuff, historical buildings that are sort of just being left, to the elements. And not only, is it a loss of history, it's a loss of space, a loss of time, and there are sort of like goals that we can have in mind for these buildings to be renovated, to be used in order to cultivate Laredo culture, right? So I didn't want to just bring up the issues. We've been brainstorming about ways that we could sort of help with this. Both, I'm going to be straight up, both financially and with community engagement. But I think that you all would be able to help us out tons. So first would be the creation of citywide website. Something similar to the Laredo Music Scene, I think, could kind of help to create a sort of directory maybe for local musicians. To create a calendar of events of the sort of artistic things going on throughout the city, whether it be for music, visual arts, performing arts, all this stuff. To centralize applications to use public spaces. For example, I've been trying to do something at the San Agustin Plaza, but I cannot for the life of me find where to submit an application to use that. And I think that following in the steps of let's say the Austin City government, when you go to their website, they do have a whole bunch of tabs about every specific detail about what's going on in the city in regards to culture and art. So I think it would just kind of help centralize all the information that musicians, artists, actors, anything that anybody would need in order to create an event going on. I think that would just kind of help facilitate all that. Another thing would be to create funds and grants. So to sort of move money in the direction where I think it needs to be. One, like I had mentioned earlier, the lack of creative spaces. A creative space fund would be amazing in, I think, 5 or 6 different aspects, right? It would help create more places for musicians to be able to go play, more art galleries, right, for artists to be able to show their pieces. It could help renovate those historical buildings that I mentioned downtown in order to, allow us to have cultural events going on at those buildings. I don't see the downsides to be able to restore our history and foster culture, right? And then the way that we kind of quickly organize the Make Music Day, I think a fund for organizing live shows, events, and local festivals would be really amazing also. A fund like this could also sort of take care of the issue of equipment because, like I said, a lot of musicians and a lot of venues don't have the equipment and it costs thousands of dollars. So, for example, a little sneak peek, our Make Music Day is being used. The equipment that we're using is sort of what we've been able to gather with the members of our music community, right? So that could kind of help with the rental of equipment for city events like this, or even just purchasing the equipment so that way we can use it for many different events going on. And then perhaps ambitiously, I thought there could also be a sort of recording artist grant, right? I know that other cities have done things similar to this where they have grants for people, maybe professors or something that are doing cultural work within the community. Here, this grant could be given to a promising local artist, and it could help them, let's say, book studio time or get the session musicians that they need, It could also help sort of keep things in the radio, right? Because a lot of times if an artist wants to record something sort of professionally, they'll go out of town or something. This could kind of help keep our arts here on the radio and just sort of elevate the I suppose, the level of the art that we're putting out, right? And then in general support of local artists, I was also thinking that some incentives could be put into place to encourage local news, commercials, businesses, radio stations, and other forms of media to use local music in their productions, right? To bring up Austin again, I know that Austin has this pretty quirky thing in place where whenever a business in Austin puts somebody on hold when they call, it actually takes them to a playlist that they've put together of music from like local artists. So it's a really small way to use music from town, but I think it's a great way, you know? And you know, things like that, like let's say the city's gonna create a commercial or hold an event or something, you know, to be able to just sort of boost the local musicians and the work that they're doing. I think that would be a great idea. And also, like I had mentioned, we have something called the Artists of the Week. I don't know how many of y'all know like the MTV Unplugged stuff. It's like a wannabe MTV Unplugged, but I think it's really great. I think the ones that we've managed to do so far, like amazing quality. Sergio does a great job editing them. And so it's been so far that we asked the musicians that we're featuring that week to record themselves playing like a mini set at home and then submit their videos to us. And then Sergio edits everything and puts it on YouTube. And you know, our first one has only been up for like a few days and it's already got like upwards of 100 views and hopefully more so as like, you know, things keep going on. But like I said, the quality is great, and I'm sure that there are a lot of spaces in like our local news. I know that, speaking from personal experience, my mom watches the news at 6 and then the one at 6:30, and I tell her like, Mom, it's the same news. But she's like, I don't care, I need to watch it. So, you know, maybe instead of doing the news back to back, 6 to 6:30, or in whatever sort of stations that, you know, you all might be able to, to be able to broadcast those sessions, because it could be like, you know, nice background music or something for people at home, and they'll get to be able to support a local artist, right? That artist will be able to get more visibility and just take a step closer toward their career. So that's all for the presentation that I have prepared, but I would love for this to be a sort of conversation and discussion. So if you all have anything that you'd like to ask or bring up.
Are you a registered nonprofit?
We are not. We like just started with all this stuff.
Okay.
So we're not a registered nonprofit yet, but I'm really hoping that in the future.
Yeah, that'll really help you in terms of, I mean, because I think the concept there is really good. The only way you're going to get people to give you money is if they can, you know, make a donation to a nonprofit.
We do work pretty closely with the Laredo Cultural District, and I know that they're currently in the application process, so hopefully they'll be.
Yeah, you can umbrella under them if they
Yeah.
get qualified.
Or, you know, just work together.
That's what I was thinking, that would be your best bet, because in Austin, you keep bringing it up, they have the Red River Cultural District, and I know that's geared towards supporting all the live music venues and allocating those funds in order, because you were talking about equipment. And I was looking at your listing, all those are private businesses, so it would be hard for the city to support and buy equipment for private businesses like the Cold Brew and Boogaloo and Los Olvidados, because then
it's
They're the
hard
ones
to
that
track.
need to make
It could
the
be a good
investment in
idea
those
to-
pieces.
where I completely agree about sound. That's I love
Yeah.
music and I go to a lot of venues, and so sound quality it could make or break an artist's performance.
And it is expensive.
But it is up to the venues. And I do know whenever there's like, let's say there's a city festival, I know CBB and there's certain city departments that do have some of the stuff that you would be able to borrow, but I know you're talking about more nightlife, and you would be able to check it out, I think, during the day, right? Make requests.
Yeah, that's why I think the creation of a sort of city-owned, city-affiliated venue could be a really good idea. because then like that's sort of where those funds could go to, instead of like, you know, to private
Yeah.
organizations or whatever.
And I mean, I can work with you too. I don't know. I'm from the director for Radio Center for the Arts, and so we have we started during the pandemic what we call an art and performance series, and it was made mainly to boost some of the other performance art that are often ignored, like dance and music and poetry. So that's what we were trying to boost because it was easy. So we were kind of doing what you were saying Sergio was doing. We'd invite artists to come down or either at their home, film them, put it on YouTube, just to expose more people to all the other talented artists that we have, because we're a little focused on visual arts and we forget about the rest. But I always have an open door if you ever want to talk about putting together something. We have
Sure.
a building. And also when we were talking about what I was making a point with Mr. Campbell about, is I want to do something like Luminaria that kind of combines art, murals, installations, and music.
Yeah.
And I think it would be easy to fuse together and kind of go to some of these spaces like downtown. And so I think it would be a cool way to kind of like elevate the music scene by putting together a festival like this that would kind of gel all these different
Yeah, that would
Definitely.
I think one of the problems also you're also having, the musicians have been facing has been the pandemic,
Definitely.
in which a lot of the downtown area that was reviving, and you could go in every one of the bars and what have you, they had live music. All that went away.
Yeah.
So it's gonna take a while, I think, for that to happen.
Yeah.
And again, you know, I think that's why a sort of like city affiliated venue could help, because, you know, the nightlife is fun, but at the end of the day, it's very dependent on,
Yeah.
you know, the venue itself,
Yeah.
especially the ones downtown are kind of dependent upon if the bridge to Mexico is opening, right? Right now, everything's pretty much closed. So, you know, and I think Laredo's history has kind of shown that, like, if you leave the arts and culture to be completely fostered by the community, I don't know if that's going to happen. You know, it needs a little bit of an extra support, I think, to be able to gain that traction. So, you know, the support of the city would be, like, absolutely perfect in order to be able to host events with the city.
I was going to say that one of the things that, and again, one of the things that needs to occur is that there was, before all this occurred, there was a movement starting within the musicians that, you know, and you know, we talk about Robert all the time, but, you know, he was adamant that people start charging for their performances. And he was developing little contracts and things like that. And so, you know, we're all here to help you with that element of it, you know, with the element of, but musicians.
Yeah, that's important.
Yeah.
I think we have to have like maybe a workshop.
It's a
with musicians.
conspiracy. You have to have a
Right.
conspiracy where the musicians won't let
Yeah.
themselves get underbid. Where, you know, because people will tell you, well, you know, I'll let you play in my club, but you're just starting, so you're not that experienced, and you need the exposure and all that. I call it the devil's talk.
Yeah.
You know, but
Yeah.
you
Laredo Musicians Union.
yes, you need something like that where that you know, you can get something where everybody's going to have some kind of a uniform, you know,
Fee structure.
fee structure.
Yeah, and steps.
Yeah, because they say, well, I can go find somebody for free, and you have to be able to say, yeah, but they're not going to be as good as us.
Yeah.
You
Yeah,
have to be
exactly.
able to believe in your art and music, and that's how Beatty was about that stuff. And what he was doing was teaching other musicians how to do that, and for them to each call each other, hey, you know, I just got us to do this, and they said that you guys are going to do it for free. We didn't say we were going to do it for free.
Yeah.
And so just to learn all the tricks of the trade, because the business part of the music business is very
It's a tough
treacherous.
one.
Yeah, it's very
And that's
treacherous.
one that musicians aren't necessarily educated in.
Right.
In
Not because
I
of
think it's across the board for artists.
Yeah.
it's all artists, all
So-
artists.
All
Yeah,
creative
because you
people
want
don't
to
like business.
perform, you want to
But I
do
think
it. So.
it's important also when I was looking at your venues that they have to charge a cover in order to pay your musicians.
Right.
Yeah, and contracts is important because my brother's a DJ. He had to start doing that and
Right.
getting like his deposit so nobody cancels on him, because it is,
And if they do cancel, non-refundable.
Mhm.
equipment is
It's your
expensive,
time, you know.
and to haul it is,
Yeah.
And see, and so
Yeah.
and sometimes the way to do that is a very communal way of having an event, 10 bands, you charge your cover, and then you divide it 10 ways.
Yeah.
So that nobody's bidding against each other, and you slowly start, you know, and then once the musicians start talking the business of it, you know, then it really, it's really invigorating to hear that, because they're saying, hey, you know, I got mouths to feed, I got, you know, families to feed, I got bills to pay, and there's people making money off the free event, you know,
Yeah.
and so,
Yeah.
so everybody needs to budget something for their entertainment.
Definitely,
you know.
and I liked what you brought up about like a potential workshop or something, because that's something that a lot of people
yeah, it's
don't
important.
know.
I mean, it's stuff that I want to do with my artist also, because it also, I mean, business and artists, they don't go hand in hand most of the time, and it's about educating
Yeah.
And-
everybody and kind of,
Yeah.
And you can start getting those 5-minute videos out about the music scene in Laredo. That's the way that you build that,
Word spreads.
you know, the word spreads and stuff.
And that was the
On
point of
that-
that was the point of the site too, to build the network of all of these.
You said that you do post videos on YouTube.
Yes.
Do you have a dedicated channel?
Yes.
What is its name? Is it
It's just Laredo Music.
the same?
Yeah.
Okay.
I just found your website very impressive.
I think in addition to the music directory and networking and things of that nature, you mentioned sound recording studios, things like that. If there could be a tab attached to the musician's spreadsheet or directory that, you know, if I'm a band and I'm looking for live sound that I would like to either contract or maybe just work with. I know there are sound companies in town, but there are also a lot of independent
Yeah.
sound engineers that have, you know, small equipment for a small coffee house or a small venue that would be, you know, that would support certain groups at certain places.
Yeah,
And then
that-
even like recording studios.
We're already working on
Okay.
on that. Yeah, we're gonna have you know, I think they're called luthiers, right? The people that work on
Oh,
guitars.
yes, yes,
Yeah.
yes, yes.
We have a contact for that, for sound, for recording, videographers, photographers. Yeah, that's
Right.
something that's gonna be on there for sure. Yeah.
I know of at least 4 or 5 recording studios in town that could probably benefit
Yeah.
themselves, plus also, you know, work with the musicians and
Oh,
things
okay.
of that nature. And I'd like to commend and congratulate Victoria and Sergio, because Victoria, I do remember you. When you said Victoria Canales, oh, by the way, many years ago, LTGI, I was a music director for Beauty and the Beast. And Victoria was a violinist in there. So when you said Victoria Canales, I pictured you what you look like
Yeah.
back
I have
then.
the
Your
haircut
hair is
now.
much shorter, and I recognize it with your mask. So
Yeah.
yes, I do remember you. Most definitely. So congratulations and
Thank
thank you
you.
so much for yes.
Great.
Well, Ms. Victoria and Sergio, I'm with the Convention and Visitors Bureau, which is the local tourism office. Now, one of the options that you suggested was a calendar of events. So we do have a calendar of events on our website, which is visitlaredo.com.
Okay.
And if you want to go ahead and share this with your musicians, with your contacts, for a while, you know, because of the pandemic, we did have to go ahead and pause on postings because, you know, everybody had stopped, you know, performing and closing down their businesses.
Yeah.
But this is something that is offered complimentary to any type of performance, you know, whether it's a musical or, you know, an art show. And it's for the public, and that way when we have visitors that are coming into Laredo, they can go ahead and click on that tab while they're here and, oh, what's going on, where is it, at what time? And it just keeps everybody informed.
Yeah.
But, you know, our social media channels are there as well, so you can go ahead and give us a like and a follow. But, I mean, we always want to, you know, keep on supporting our local artists and our local businesses and amenities and attractions.
Definitely.
But, you know, if there's anything that you need, you know, my name is Selena, and, you know, you can find me on the website as well.
Yeah, I've been to that website before and used that calendar. I mean, it's an absolutely amazing resource. I guess I was just sort of like saying that it should also be on like the City of Laredo website, I guess. Or again, just to like sort of centralize everything, right?
Or is your page linked to the city website?
No, we're separate from the city. The city's more government based.
Yeah.
So, but I know that I think Parks and Rec was working on a calendar of events, but I can go ahead and follow up to see if that's still being done on their end, or perhaps maybe a contract needed to be renewed in order to keep the service going.
And you know, honestly, a very easy solution to this, I think, could maybe just be like linking the existing websites, right? Like on these tabs on the City of Laredo website, if you just put like, and for a calendar of events, go to visitlaredo.com. Or for like a directory of musicians, go to
I think they could definitely do that.
Yeah, that's
You do
something that we can definitely,
Yeah,
already be talking to IT and see
For
how we
sure.
can go ahead
That's
and do
something we could do at the center and
Yeah.
just link you guys, because we have I think on one of the pages, like what to do, where to
Mhm.
go for our tourists, and we can definitely just put it, if you keep the directory of what's going on in the downtown
Yeah.
scene. And also, other than ourselves, reach out to Laredo Main Street, because through their farmers market that's back, they book musicians, and I know they have them in the past. They've opened up in Jarvis because of the gazebo that you were talking about, and it's a beautiful ambiance when they do that. I remember I DJ'd up there, so.
Yeah, they reached out to us to spread the word. So what we had thought of doing is creating a part in our, like a tab in our website where the artists can go there and they can see who's looking
Yeah.
for them, so they can.
And I mean,
contact
they
them.
do offer a small fee, so they pay.
Mhm.
I just don't know what their
Yeah.
going rate is right now for the musicians. I know it's normally a couple of hours either in the morning or the afternoon, but
Mhm.
that's also a good way. And then over here you put about the live music permits. I know that was something that the city worked on a couple of years ago. It was happening pre-pandemic.
Mhm.
I don't know.
Oh yeah, like to do busking.
Yeah, because I know there were some street performers. I mean, when we were leaving events at the center, we'd hear the musicians like over by where On the Rocks is. I just don't know who's overseeing. Do you know who's overseeing that? I know that's something that Councilman Bali had worked on.
Yes.
yeah, that's definitely
I think. I know Main Street was spearheading it. I think it was through the city that you have. I know there's something in existence.
Mhm.
I just don't know how
Yeah.
to go about it.
I think a lot of these issues and or solutions could be remedied in like pretty simple ways,
Yeah.
because a lot of these things either do exist or were in existence or something. It's just a matter of like sort of facilitating
Mhm.
all of these resources, right? So that like instead of having to
To go and
look around,
research
yeah,
and do research.
to have everything in one
Streamline that.
location. Yeah.
Well, what I was telling Victoria and Natalia a few days ago was that I saw this place in San Antonio called the Tuesday Musical Club. I don't know if you guys have heard of it.
Yeah.
It's like it's a building that's been there since like 1905, but that has it's only for women, and they host like musicians and workshops and
That club is here, it's a Tuesday Music and Literature.
And literature.
that is here.
Yeah, they have
There's
a
one
club
here.
It's here?
Oh,
There's
really?
one here also.
Yeah.
Oh, that
If they don't have an old building, they meet where, different places.
Methodist,
Usually
Right.
Methodist Church Hall.
Main Street.
Yeah, my mom's in it, so,
Oh.
I go and play there.
Huh?
I go play there.
yeah. They invite me to come over. Of course, since it's an older group, they hear more, symphonic and different kind of stuff, but I'm
Music
sure
is
they would.
music.
They would
Yeah,
do
yeah,
it.
yeah.
I'm a violinist.
So,
Yeah,
I can
mean,
put you in contact with her.
definitely. That's something that like I didn't
I
even
know
know that
the
we
president.
had.
I didn't know about that.
That could be a good, like I said, to use the historical buildings instead of, having them jump around or like.
Yeah,
play
all
at
of us,
churches.
everybody that worked with a nonprofit has always dreamed of somebody donating to us a warehouse
Yeah.
that's no longer in
Honestly.
use.
The problem is all those are privately owned, and a lot of
Yeah.
historic
Something with the
buildings.
downtown buildings, they
Yeah.
are privately.
I know that there was a program that they had started a few years back that they were renting like office spaces for artists or something like that, right?
They were, I think it was across. Casitas, yes.
It never really got.
No, it never got off the ground, yeah, but it was an idea.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, all those ideas could definitely like be put in motion. Even if, I realize that a lot of the stuff I said today is like privately owned things, but, those happen through like networking and asking and things like that, just sort of increasing the visibility so that others will want to participate, right? Because if nobody is engaged, it's like when people say we need more venues, and I'm like, hold on, the venues here already are like at constantly like a fourth capacity. You know, like we just need engagement so that like then new things can start popping up, and helping out with that.
Well, we're here to help, and like I say, in the slam community, Beatty we wanted it, the slam community has usually some strict rules about, no music, no. So we were doing what they call slam jams, where people would come and play music and people would do poetry, and we just need to collaborate like that and work like that.
Could I
Yeah,
make
absolutely.
The theatrical productions are always looking for musicians also, and so we just need to kind of, now we know where to find you, and go from there.
Yeah, and I
Yeah.
just heard of you guys because we had Modern Sophia participate as one of our art of performance.
Yeah,
she
she's-
shared.
She's my roommate.
I think
Yeah.
she just shared your blog or something, and I was like, oh, okay. But I hadn't like gone to it. I just saw
You
your
played
radio
in
music
her
scene.
Yeah, I play in her live band.
Oh,
Well,
okay.
like before COVID, when we still had live
Okay.
performances. But yeah, I play bass for her.
Oh,
so yeah.
nice.
Lauren,
Would
Sophia,
you
and I.
guys also at some point consider including classical musicians?
I'd love to. I mean, like I said, I'm a violinist. I was classically trained first.
Yeah,
I'd
because
love to.
I'm
I
just
just
thinking also broader, people
Yeah.
are always looking for string players, for instance, at a wedding ceremony
Yeah.
or something like that, and then I come out playing organ and there's these people that I do not know from Bar of Soap, and then I hear they've been imported from Houston. So we have local musicians, we have players.
definitely.
No, that's the.
It's a
that's the
resource
goal,
that,
for sure.
and make it available for
For-
people
I
to
mean, when we
search
do
on.
like the artist submission calls, we don't specify genre. Like
No.
we're just like any musician, go
Yeah,
ahead and submit.
but you may want to provide links
For
by
sure.
category for people
Yeah.
who are looking for.
I think it'd also
The
be a really
quartet
great idea
or
to
the-
do that
Yeah.
for like mariachi musicians, because I'm
Yeah.
currently a mariachi. I do that in Austin when I'm here throughout the year.
I'll be, my dream is to perform with the harpist, the
yeah.
mariachi harpist and do slam.
I got to do that.
That's what I would do. I heard you have somebody, but they moved to San Marcos, and I've been looking, and I haven't been able to find anybody, so hopefully I'll.
Yes,
No,
for
that's
sure.
back.
What's the name of your guitar?
Billy Thatcher.
Billy Thatcher
We
plays
kind of
that.
have classical.
I'm talking mariachi,
He's back.
La Bamba style,
Mariana, he's always Kristen.
There's a student of ours,
But
Armando, that went to
Veracruz type of music.
Right. So anyway, something like that where you would be
Yeah.
able to put back, so if people like me are looking, I want a blues guitarist, I want something like that.
Definitely, yeah.
Because Laredo has all that.
Oh,
We know they do.
So they have there's a lot of talented people here that people just.
Because the other day I got invited to a carne asada at 2 in the morning because things were starting to open up. And there was some of the founding members of the Rondells and those people. And they had original recordings and they invited just so I could go hear because they know I like the music.
Yeah.
And it was like, whoa, this is like, I wish I could bring a TV camera and put it on
For
these folks,
sure.
so. And there's a lot of jamming going on, in other words.
There's another idea that I had was to add a section to the site where we can feature maybe artists that maybe they're not active anymore, but that were active, a while back that had some.
Can tell some, yeah. Laredo has a lot of military people who are in the national military bands who were at the inauguration and stuff like that. And so there's just a really rich historical legacy of music.
I mean, I think a lot of the artists that we have, like, currently are around our age, just because, like,
Yeah.
that's kind of the easier
Those are the
thing
ones
for us
that
to-
have reached.
No, no,
Yeah,
no,
those are like our
no,
friends,
and
you know,
they,
artists.
those need to be invigorated so that they don't leave.
Definitely,
Yeah.
but I mean, I would love to, like, reach out and include, like Sergio said, maybe artists that aren't active anymore, or like classical musicians, or mariachi, all that stuff. I mean, I think it's super important. But yeah, those are all really great ideas.
Have you seen that documentary about what's it called? Something at the border. It's a
Rhapsody of the River.
no, it's about people who play sones from Veracruz, who travel to.
Should do some marketing.
There's a guy who has the Afro-Cuban All-Stars or whatever, and his mother was from Nuevo Laredo. On the documentary, you hear this, and so they bring these musicians up to the border, and they sing on both sides of the wall of it's not a wall, it's really more like a fence in San Diego, California, and then they end up in New York, and so
That's
it's
neat.
really good.
Yeah.
But anyway, we have tons of those musicians.
Yes,
Yeah.
for sure.
And there's tons on the No Laredo side, and
Oh,
just,
yeah. No, we want to include everybody,
Yeah.
that's the goal, so, we will.
well,
Yeah, I think, what we're just kind of here proposing is just like more of a city sort of engagement,
Right.
to sort of like bring up these things that are already honestly happening. And I know that as soon as like this support in any and all sense comes out, like there's gonna be a huge turnout because every creative in Laredo is like dying for this,
Yeah.
Like we're all begging for the chance to, be able to perform for the city or have like a live citywide festival or something, Like these are things that I don't think there's gonna be a lack of people interested in.
right.
But yeah.
Well, thank you very much for your
Thank you
presentation,
all
and
so
come join us
much. For your-
whenever you have anything going.
Passion, and keep doing something
Yes,
for the
absolutely.
city, that's great.
And may I make one request?
Sure.
I've been wanting to go to Border Slams so bad, but they're all at the Cold Brew, right?
No,
They're not?
no, those were our open mics, our events are at the Gallery 201.
Okay, so they're still there?
They're still there, and I think we're gonna have our first live one this next week.
Yeah, because I used to go before the pandemic at 201. And then like all the recent ones I've seen have been at Cold Brew, and it's like you're 321.
Yeah. No, those were open mics, but our regular ones are at, so.
That's another reason why, I think, citywide events
Yeah,
would be great.
because all these bar things are not
Yeah,
working out for a lot of us.
Cool story, we had, one of our young poets won the championship, my first year,
Camila?
Eliseo
Oh,
Seca.
okay.
He won the championship, he was 14 years old at the time.
Oh my gosh.
So when we went to competition as a team, he couldn't compete because all the venues were bars, so.
Yeah.
Mhm.
No,
So
it's-
he went along for the ride, but,
Yeah, it's not that fun.
Yeah,
To like
yeah.
be planning a night like to go watch a show and everything, and you show up and they're like, nope, sorry. Please just write an X on my hand.
You see, I don't have that problem.
They tell us, you can go in twice, 3 times.
I really rarely get started.
Probably, yeah.
well, thank you for your presentation.
Thank you.
I found the website, I already sent it to a few of my musician friends. They're already
Yes, thank you
down.
so much.
Okay, great.
Help
We
them.
Yeah.
appreciate
I saw your
the work
Facebook page
you
too.
do.
Great.
Thank you.
All right.
Thank you all.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay.
Hold on for a second. The next item is the scheduling of our next meeting. There'll be a very important meeting because we'll be voting on the, yes, on the stuff that's going to happen, so.
And for now, we have it scheduled for July 15th,
Okay.
and hopefully it's still here at the library.
That's a Thursday?
It's a Thursday.
Okay. Do I have here a motion to adjourn?
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
I have a motion
Rosie,
to
yes.
adjourn.
Colin, second. All those in favor? Okay. I didn't make it keep it to an hour, so, but,
Damn it.
but then we went.